Hello and welcome to the Story Behind the Stories, your weekly look at the pages of the Neepawa Banner Press. Thanks a lot for taking a little bit of your time this week and spending it here with us, right here on NAC TV. I'm Eoin Devereux, news and sports reporter with the Banner Press. As always, welcome you, well, almost as always, pretty much as always, welcoming you to the show. This week joined by Casper Wehrhahn. Casper, good to have you in again.
Good to be here, and I maybe should have been rocking some longer sleeves today. It's a bit chillier out today, only 6 degrees.
Oh, that's the thing. I mean, it's been an unusual week. Early on in the week, the weather was just phenomenal, up in the high 20s. Almost touched the tip of the 30s in terms of degrees. And today, I think it was supposed to only be about a 6 or 7 degree. But unfortunately, we're in the NAC TV studio, so that definitely evens things out. It makes it nice and comfortable in the winter. In the summer, we'll see. In the summer, we're going to be rocking a lot of short sleeve shirts and maybe a handkerchief or two to wipe the sweat away. But don't get me worried about that. I mean, it's more preferable to have something like that than the cold winters in the grand scheme of things, I think.
Oh yes, yeah, shivering away.
Yeah. Well, it certainly makes going into the Keystone, the Yellowhead Arena, a little bit easier. And that's something you did recently to check out an event that's come back for the second straight year, the Great Benjamin Circus.
Yes, it certainly was an enjoyable break from the warm weather on May 14th. It's been a little bit humid that day, but I had the opportunity to go in there and enjoy the circus. The Great Benjamin Circus came to town again, set up shop in the Yellowhead Arena, and fantastic performance. The bit I was able to be there for and take some photos for, it was great. It was very enjoyable. I had the opportunity to cover one of their shows before a few years back when the Big Top was at the Egg Grounds, I believe it was. So they had the big tent set up and everything, and yeah, just as fantastic as I remember them being. They're a great circus act, and just a lot of different talents being showcased there. Acrobatics, humor. They have some pretty good humor, and the one that I sort of walked in the middle of being performed was this crossbow act with two different people, one shooting the crossbow and one standing very unbothered and all that in front of where the targets were as everything was being shot off, and it really was quite something. I got in there sort of just as they were setting up that last shot, and I was like, what are they doing here? And they had like all these, I don't know what they're actually called. I'm going to call them reflector plates, like lined up on each edge of the ring there. And they fired the shot, and it pinged off of all of these plates and then bounced right into the balloon and popped it. I was just like, okay. Could not be me in that ring, but that was pretty cool.
You know what that almost sounds like now? This is how technology has just ruined everything for everyone. It sounds like one of those trick things you see on TikTok nowadays, where they're just flicking all the stuff there and they're hitting it. It's like a much fancier spinning the bottle up top and having it land. That appears to be a thing as well. So.
It does, yeah.
But this takes a lot more sort of talent than just that.
Oh yeah, lots of skill and practice for sure, and guts. I would jump each time.
Well, it's great that it's back, and it's the second year again in a row that it's taken place at the Yellowhead Arena. So it's wonderful that we're going to get to be part of the circuit for this, that they say Neepawa is a viable community to come back each and every year. And it's great to see this variation of the circus here. Casper, this is probably, you're much too young for this, most likely. But I remember growing up when the circus was Barnum and Bailey. Shrine Circus was another one that was huge, that would do all the tours. And they'd come up north. I was raised up north, and they'd come up there. And it was a big to-do. It was a huge event. But it was a much different thing back then. It was more animal acts. You saw elephants, you saw giraffes, you saw lions and tigers and all that. And as a child, yeah, that's amazing. And you're raised in northern Manitoba, you don't see any elephants. You're not supposed to see any elephants. If you see one of the great northern elephants, take a picture of it. It's majestic. It really is. But you don't see something like that. But at the same time, society's changed, and I think rightfully so, because we didn't know any better back then how some of these animals, perhaps all of these animals, were treated. You know, you don't do tricks on your hind legs just because they ask nicely. But it's a different time now, and Great Benjamin has adapted and has changed with the time. Now they have all human acts, and hopefully they're not doing the same thing. Hopefully all these sort of acrobats and all that are being asked nicely to do these tricks, as opposed to somebody in a top hat and a bullwhip. That's not cool.
No.
You didn't see anybody with a top hat and a bullwhip, did you?
No, not while I was there. Though there was someone in a top hat with a sort of fancy red nose on, performing some humorous tricks there. So that provides some good entertainment for sure.
It's great that they continue to do the tradition like that. It's so changed over the years. Like I said, when I was growing up, you didn't have all the other entertainment options for the most part. You didn't have the internet. You didn't have all the video games. You didn't have all this excess that sort of keep the youngins occupied. So this was a big deal. And hopefully this new generation of youngsters coming through can sort of have those positive memories of the circus, just like I do from my time. So if you'd like to learn a little bit more about it, Casper's got a montage of all sorts of different pictures right on the front page of this week's edition of the Banner Press. Looks like it was a whole heck of a lot of fun. Speaking of fun, fortunately, we're going to have another major event coming into Neepawa shortly. It's going to be the Neepawa District Chamber of Commerce. They're going to be bringing in their annual chamber fair. This year, though, there's going to be a slight difference to it. Casper, you've got the details in terms of how this is. We say it every year, bigger and better, but this year, legitimately bigger and better, isn't it?
It really sounds like it, yeah. It's going to be May 26th through 28th that this is being held, the Chamber Fair. And one significant change that they wanted to make note of was that they have a new midway company involved in the fair this year. It's called Select Shows, and they're going to be bringing 14 different rides from 2 different categories, the kiddie category, I believe it was, and the major rides category. So there'll be a good variety of different things there, you know, like merry-go-round, etc. And
Yep.
What was that one called? Scrambler. I don't think I know what that is.
That sounds immensely safe.
Sounds like I can hop on there and, well, I might need a moment to orient myself after I get off.
Let's call it what its actual name is, the Concussionator. That's what it might be, all right?
For me, for sure.
But again, it's great to be able to hear that they're going to be doing something like this. They've done a lot of work over the years to bring in the fairs like this, and no disrespect to the company that maybe was doing it previously, but it was kind of, it was there. It was all right. They're rides, technically, you know. But I don't expect us to have the big events like the Provincial X in Winnipeg, or even, you won't know this one, but again, raised up north. I was raised in a city in Thompson of about 16,000, 17,000 people at the time. Huge city. So they'd bring up one of the major shows, and they called it Nickel Days.
Okay.
Because obviously the mine was a big deal there in Thompson, still is. And it would be the big show. You'd get the big rides. You'd get the huge carnies. You'd get the interesting games. It was a whole huge spectacle. And maybe I was a little spoiled on that as a youngster, that was just what I expected from every community. And in Brandon, obviously, 50, 60,000 people now, you can expect that. In Winnipeg, obviously, nearly 800,000 people, you can expect something like that, and even a grander scale. But for Neepawa, that wasn't realistic. But it sounds like the Chamber sees the community thriving, more people coming in, more opportunities, so they're seeing that, and they're growing this event as well accordingly, which is really nice. Is that something that you think the Chamber sort of very purposefully tried to do this year?
I feel like they did. it's definitely one of their biggest fundraisers, if I remember correctly, for the chamber. So it's a very important event. So that's something you want to keep growing in accordance with the interest that's in it. And fairs are a big draw for people, whether you're in town or maybe you're out of town and you have time to swing by. Like, it's a great thing to have put on here. It gives people something to do with family. Get out, get some fresh air, and just enjoy something that you don't typically get to do every day. So it's a very important thing that they're putting this on, and there's just a lot of different things that are going to be going on that day. Throughout the weekend, I should say, aside from just the midway. So it's a lot of different things that you can check out and just have a good time with.
Refresh my memory on this, because I don't genuinely remember this off the top of my head. Is that the same weekend as the community-wide garage sale, yard sale?
Yes, yep, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think I might be signed up for that. I think my housemate may have signed up the house for that, so who knows? I should find out whether or not I'm participating in it or not. So I guess I better make those arrangements. And if you happen to be out and about in and around First Avenue, take a ride on down, see if you want to buy some of my old junk. It's a very subtle commercial right now. Am I being skillful and subtle about it, Casper?
I think so. I think you got them.
Some great deals at the Devereux garage sale. Come check it out after you've checked out the Chamber Fair, which sounds like it's going to be a whole heck of a lot more fun than looking at my old CDs and T-shirts. It's wonderful to see so many different energizing, invigorating types of events happening here. This one's more business related, we're going to talk about next, but it's still a big deal for the town and the region as a whole. Neepawa Gladstone Co-op recently had their official grand opening, even though they've been open for the most part while they've been doing the work. The official grand opening of their new and improved home center expansion. Now, it's over on the highway there as you're heading north out towards St. Rose, heading up towards Dauphin. It's on the west side of that highway there if you want to check it out. Now, you might think that for the most part, it kind of looks the same as it used to. A fresher coat of paint, some new colors here and there. But that's why you need to stop. You need to go into the parking lot. You need to park your vehicle and go inside, because once you get inside, it's like, holy cow. The place is friggin' huge. Pardon my language. Pardon my PG there, but it is unbelievably huge. I was shocked at the sheer state of what they did. It's more than a fresh coat of paint. It's far and wide as the eye can see. The chalet flooring, which used to have its own, but was purchased by the co-op a couple years ago, is now firmly entrenched into its own space, a huge amount of space as well. What's huge as well, Casper, was the storage capacity in the back there, just like near the water tower.
Right.
They got a whole new warehouse set up for all their lumber and all that, and you walk in, it's like, holy cow, this is like an airplane hangar. You could put a couple B-1 bombers in here or something if they needed to. It was unbelievable. Like, even if you don't need anything, I'd suggest sort of taking a wander over there and just seeing it for yourself.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a while since I've been up that way. Admittedly, I think the last time I was up there was last time my family took a drive to go get some ice cream and play Pokemon Go on our phones together.
Do you remember when Pokemon Go was a thing on phones?
It was a very big thing for a while.
It was around the same time everybody started staying at home and making bread.
Yeah.
But let's not go back to there. But
no, definitely go have a look at it. It's been something they've been working really hard on. It's great to see that they were able to have their official opening.
That's right, and I had an opportunity to talk to some of the representatives with the co-op, most notably Brian Headley, who is the general manager for the operation in the region. They're very proud of what they've been able to do with its expansion. It's a big deal. It's a long time coming, a few years on the go right now. And it is a huge endeavor. It's almost nearly a $6 million facility upgrade. And Brian shared with me, he said, you know what, back in 2019, we were talking about this. We thought maybe a fresh coat of paint, maybe some new shelving, that type of thing, not to the grand scope or scale of what we ended up with. And then some management, regional management, sort of sat down and said, hey, let's take a tour around. Let's go around the prairies into BC. Let's see what other companies, other co-ops are doing. So they did the quick tour, and Brian said it was a bit of an eye-opener. And it occurred to him, a fresh coat of paint and some new shelves is not going to cut it. We have to be broader in our view. We have to look to not just the near future, but to the long-term future and the long-term prosperity and vitalism of the co-op. So he said that's why they went about what they did. They need to be able to compete. There's some other co-ops across Western Canada that are doing it right. There's some other businesses, Brian said, that are doing it right. And if they decide to move into Neepawa, that is always a distinct possibility. We are a community on the grow. We are on the go, as it were. So many new citizens coming in, so many new arrivals to our community. Businesses are watching us. Businesses are seeing what's happening in this community, and they're planning accordingly. So Neepawa Gladstone Co-op planned accordingly as well. They believe that this expansion is going to set them up in a very good position for the next 5 years, the next 10 years, and beyond. And that's what you want. You want your local businesses to be successful. In a future edition of the Banner Press, we're going to be talking about the official grand opening as well for Home Hardware. We've done stories on that, them moving out towards the highway already, and how successful that's been. They're going to be doing an official event in the very near future, so keep an eye on the newspaper and right here on the Story Behind the Stories on NAC TV for an update on that. But they both see that there is a need to plan for the future of Neepawa, and the future of Neepawa is starting to look pretty good. All right, let's talk. God, it feels like sometimes, Casper, we're turning into cheerleaders for this town. And as I look at the list of what we're talking about this week, this again almost feels like it's turning into a rah-rah thing, but there's a lot of positives that are going on right now. And one of them, of course, is the vocational school that we've talked about in the newspaper several times since its announcement back in the end of March. And if you want to learn a little bit more about that, we do have a story. In this week's edition, Jason Young had an opportunity to sit down right here on NAC TV and speak with Rain Pryor about the vocational school and several other important aspects of education for your children and for our future generations. He was able to share some of the details. We very much appreciate NAC TV sharing those details with us. We were able to turn it into a story, but don't worry, NAC TV, we didn't steal all the thunder. We only took a little bit of information. It's sort of wetting the whistle. This is the appetizer. You can pick up the article and read the appetizer, as it were. Jason shares with you, because he goes so much further into the details of the vocational school, what it means for Neepawa, the importance of it, how badly needed it is for not just our town, but for our region. And the inner workings of how we got to this moment in time. He couldn't share everything, of course. In terms of the location, there's a few spots that everybody's been talking about. It's over here, it's over there, they're going to put it here. He says they have looked at some spots, some specific locations. They have one in mind. They can't say the specific area right now. There's still I's to be dotted, T's to be crossed in a contract, and you never want to jump the gun on something like that. You want to make sure everything on both sides is looked after before you make any types of announcements. As much as we'd love to be able to share exclusive, it's happening right here, and they're putting a shovel in the ground on Thursday. No, we can't do that this week. But it's exciting times, and I'm very much sort of looking forward to all these little moments over the next year to two with this announcement. So
Yeah, me too. It's definitely, as you said, something that's been talked about a lot and very well needed. Some may remember we've mentioned in the past that, sort of as a town, we were thinking, okay, with this new middle school that we're getting in, we won't need to use the temporary classrooms anymore. We'll be able to do away with those and, just have everyone all in the buildings, etc. And then the school filled up really fast, and well, they're still here. So the need, obviously, for another new school was very quickly apparent. I mean, it's been talked about since like 2018, I think it was anyway, to begin with. So this will be a great development for the town. As you said, we've from time to time sort of turned into cheerleaders for the town, but I think it's some really great things happening to cheer about. So, stuff like this is absolutely fantastic. And I was kind of blown away by the size that they're looking at for this. I'm pretty sure I heard talk about it before in the office here, but it was like, I think 20 acres they were looking at approximately for the space needed, right?
No, you're right about the sheer size of it. The province does mandate that it should be about 15 acres that should be set aside for the site of the construction of a new school. Beautiful Plains, though, is going even above and beyond that. Jason talks about they were thinking more along the lines of 25 acres. So again, that makes for a bit of a challenge. Where are you going to find 25 acres in proximity to the community of Neepawa? So they got to figure all of that out. And the size of the building as well. They talked about this school, this vocational school, will likely, the building proper, not including the little daycare that is mandated to go along with any construction of a new school. You have to have a daycare to coincide with it. And not talking about the parking, not talking about all that. I'm talking about just the vocational school itself, the walls and the roof. That's what I'm talking about right here. They say it's going to need to be in and around 100,000 square feet. That sounds like a huge number, but perhaps you have some difficulty envisioning it in your mind. I know I did. So I actually did a little tour around the building to sort of talk to people who are a little more knowledgeable. So I talked to everyone and asked them, in grand scheme of things, what kind of example can I use for that? And was the example that they used for was one person has said, for reference point, the Neepawa Middle School, our newest school, which you are very familiar with because it's up in Adam, is only 46,000 square feet. And another person said, use football fields as a reference. And from the sounds of it, it was almost like just over 1.5 football fields. Canadian, not only that, Canadian football fields. Not those tiny little American football fields you can fit in a thumb, on your thumb. It's a huge, it's a massive, it's a real Canadian football field. And it's over 1.5 of those. So that is just, wow.
Yeah,
that's going to be huge.
Going to be absolutely massive. Yeah, I can't wait to see it.
I wonder how quickly it'll be until we grow out of that one too.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Neepawa is really growing. It's pretty cool to see, honestly.
That's right. Now, if you want to learn a little bit more, you can find that story. It's on page 6 of this week's edition of the Banner Press. And don't forget, as I said, it is going to be appearing, Jason Young's interview, sit-down interview with Rain Pryor, will be appearing right on NACTV. As far as I know, I checked in with them on this, on the times and the dates. Most up-to-date times and dates I had, they were going to be on Friday, May 19th at around 6 p.m. And then again, Saturday, May 20th at 7:30 p.m. So if you're watching this before the 19th, before the 20th, and you want to see some more specific details, that's when you can check it out, right here on NACTV. All right, we're going to get into some basic nuts and bolts of a few meetings that went on with the last few minutes that we have left in this week's edition of the show. Went down to the Yellowhead Hall last week and had an update on Neepawa Minor Hockey. They had their spring AGM event. It was a big deal. A decent number of people showed up there to sort of find out how things are going, with the association right here in town. And the fortunate thing is, they're going pretty good. The participation in Neepawa minor hockey has gone up year over year. It was about a 5% increase in the 2023 numbers compared to 2022. So that's good. There's a lot of communities that can boast that. And as well, they were able to make a bit of a profit as well. It is a non-profit, obviously. I mean, they're not doing this to bring in the money. They're just doing this to sort of be able to keep operating year over year. And having some money in the bank is always better and easier to make that happen than not having money in the bank. So they're able to bring in around just over $5,600 in profit this year, which goes right back into the operation and the successful operation and expansion of minor hockey. So we also have a new president for the board, Landon Cameron, will be stepping into the role. These last couple years, he's served as a vice president for Neepawa minor hockey, stepping in for Jerry Chudley, who has served as president. Jerry Chudley is very proud of what they as a collective have been able to accomplish over the last couple years under some difficult circumstances. You know, we're not that far off from restrictions and complete shutdowns of so many things. And minor hockey was a part of that as well. So they were able to bounce back from it. They were able to come back in a strong way. And I hope that they continue to thrive in the way that they do. So if you want to learn more, that's on the sports page of this week's paper, along with an update from the Neepawa Titans. They got a few player signings and a few player commitments going off to the university. So keep in touch on the Titans, even though the hockey season is officially over. It never really ends. It's really a year-round type of thing right now. Let's go down the street here from the Yellowhead Hall to, I think it was happening in Arts Forward. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, Casper.
I think it was Arts Forward.
There was an event that's been put on the last little while by Neepawa Tourism. It's a sort of seasonal thing. It's a great little workshop that shares a lot of interesting insights, isn't it?
Yeah, so Neepawa Tourism actually held its 11th of these workshops in partnership with Manitoba Tourism Education Council. It's a mouthful. And specifically, they are called Manitoba Service Excellence Workshop. So it offers a variety of workshops that Neepawa Tourism members can attend for free, or if you're a non-member, there's a bit of a fee there. But it offers, covering a variety of topics, cultural considerations in the workplace, respectful workplaces, etc. Lots of different things there that people can go to, employee, employer, and just learn things from them and help make their businesses better in a variety of ways, whether it's improving, customer first impressions, etc. It just offers sort of a wealth of knowledge on a variety of these topics, and it sounds like they've been getting some good interest. The person I spoke to said that throughout the course of holding these workshops, they've had attendance anywhere from like 16 to 26 registrants, with like 99% of people saying that they were very pleased with the outcome of those workshops and that they would consider enrolling again. So that's very good to hear. That
is fantastic. If you want to learn a little bit more about these or other stories in this week's edition, you can definitely check it out in the Neepawa Banner Press. Wish we had more time, but there's so many things to cover. That's why you got to pick up a copy of the paper or find it online at mywestman.ca. And again, as always, if you have any story suggestions or ideas for us, you can always contact us at news@neepawabanner.com, or you can call us by phone at 476-3401. If you have any ideas for us, we're going to try our best to get to them. And as usual, thank you for taking a little bit of time for us right here on the story behind the stories. Have another great week.